immoral, offensive, outrageous. Wait, am I recording? Yes. Oh my God. Hey there, and welcome into the Creator Cafe. My name is Kay Gruner. I'm a lawyer, and here I talk about creator tea, legal insights, and coffee talk. Let's get into it. Today, we're talking about influencer contracts, but specifically morals clauses. And this relates to all of the juicy scandals that we see going on in the creator world. This video is educational only. Yes, I'm a licensed attorney, but I am not your attorney. This is not legal advice. Let's get into it. Some topics we're going to cover: how immoral or scandalous behavior can harm your reputation, how influencers and brands distance themselves from each other's scandals, and with influencer contracts, what is a morals clause? This is Miranda Sings. She's a character created by a YouTube creator named Colleen Ballinger, and she has in recent years come under very high scrutiny from the public eye because of accusations and facts that we now know about her relationships with her fans. And this is Balenciaga, not a person, but a brand, and in fact, a very big high fashion brand. We're going to talk today about what is similar between Balenciaga and Colleen Ballinger. So let's start with Colleen. Here on the left, you see Miranda Sings, her character, and on the right, you see Colleen herself. Colleen Ballinger plays a character called Miranda Sings, starting on YouTube in 2008. She ruled the platform, had a huge dedicated fan base, and her fame led to various business opportunities, including a Netflix show, world tours, recently a podcast with other YouTuber Trisha Paytas. In 2020, a former member of her fan base publicly disclosed his very bad experiences with her, specifically how she treated him for many years while he was a teenager. And she was not only an adult, but over 15 years older. Her inappropriate and abusive behavior has become even more publicly known as Adam and other fans have shared shocking details over the past few years. In the wake of all of this information, this controversy has essentially put Colleen in a very bad light. One could say it's over, Colleen. Either way, this is very bad. Swoop is a YouTuber that has extensive coverage and insights over the Colleen story, and I highly recommend you watch those documentaries to learn more. But what I want to talk about now is what happens when a creator like Colleen destroys her reputation. Also, what happens to her collaborators, business partners, sponsorships, if she has them. Obviously, people and brands are going to want to distance themselves from her. But what if they're locked in a business contract? What if that contract has no termination clause or other ability to get out of the contract if something like this happens? In the contract world, I'm talking about morals clauses or morality clauses. In the case that there is no morality clause, the parties can mutually agree to terminate. But a contract is a contract. And if the offensive person or brand doesn't want to terminate or just wants to get paid what they're owed under the contract, then the collaborator who didn't engage in the bad behavior may not have a good path forward. Now, I have absolutely no idea what Colleen Ballinger's contracts look like, but as an example, a natural flow from awful behavior can often lead to cancellations, whether by contract, maybe a morals clause, or settlement after negotiation between the parties. And typically that would involve some amount of money. So what happened to Colleen Ballinger? Well, what we know is that recently she has canceled her tour after grooming claims came out. And this isn't immediately because we know that Adam first spoke up in 2020, but more people are coming forward and there's just a lot more people talking about this now. She also had a podcast with Trisha Paytas that was recently launched, and they have collaborated on other videos on YouTube as well. These are two of the biggest creators on YouTube over many, many years of YouTube's existence. One thing we know for sure is that their podcast, Oversharing, is canceled. Colleen has a show on Netflix. It was not renewed after 2 seasons, but that was before all of this came out publicly. The show, at least as of the day of this recording, is still available to watch on Netflix. I'm really interested to see what happens next because we don't know, again, what do the contracts say between Netflix and Colleen? But I would imagine that Netflix would probably be wanting to distance themselves from her as well, and as soon as possible. Do they have a morals clause? I don't know. Now let's talk about another gross example. In 2022, high fashion brand Balenciaga was accused of promoting child abuse and pedophilia in a series of disturbing ad campaigns, one of which includes toddlers holding a teddy bear dressed in bondage. Another is a handbag on top of paperwork, and that paperwork includes an infamous Supreme Court case relating to child pornography. And that's just the tip of the iceberg. There's a lot of really awful imagery and messaging that you can see in previous Balenciaga campaigns. So obviously, Balenciaga harmed its own reputation due to immoral, offensive, and outrageous behavior. So who's collaborating with Balenciaga? One very famous one is Kim Kardashian. This campaign became highly criticized with the bondage teddy bears and the toddlers. So what did Kim Kardashian do? Not too long after this blew up in the fall of 2022, she was seen selling some of her Balenciaga for a discounted price. And then just a few months after that, she was wearing Balenciaga again. So it's not really clear what the status is of her relationship with the brand. Again, sadly, we don't have access to Kim or any other influencers' contracts with Balenciaga. But let's talk about that anyway. Influencer contracts often include a clause called the morals clause. Historically, morals clauses didn't come into existence until about the 1920s, when a famous Hollywood actor came under fire for his behavior off screen, which included drinking bootleg alcohol and being accused of murder. Anyway, the scandal hurt his reputation, but also the reputation of the film studio he worked for. So after that happened, Universal Studios started putting morals clauses into their contracts with actors. Universal Studios' first clauses looked like this. The actor or actress agrees, number one, to conduct himself with due regard to public conventions and morals. And number two, the actor or actress agrees that he will not do or commit anything tending to degrade him in society, bring him into public hatred, contempt, scorn, or ridicule, or tending to shock, insult, offend the community, or outrage public morals or decency. If this sounds really broad, that's because it is. It also included a termination right. In the event that the actor violates this term, then the Universal Film Manufacturing Company has the right to cancel and annul this contract by giving 5 days notice to the actor of its intention to do so. So the reason that these clauses exist is not to protect the scandal maker. It's to protect the brands or people who work with the scandal maker. These clauses can be placed into literally any contract, but we've seen them often in employment agreements, celebrity endorsements, professional sports agreements, and yes, influencer contracts. The way these clauses protect is by including a termination right or something similar that sets forth the definition of what happens after a party violates a morals clause. Often what happens is that the contract can be terminated and the rights and obligations of the parties end there, meaning the actor or influencer or athlete loses the money that they would have earned. As a brand or influencer working with a brand, it is important to understand how morals clauses work and how yours are written. Some key questions to ask include: who does the morals clause apply to? Just one party or both? What behavior or actions specifically trigger a violation of the clause? What happens after a violation occurs? Can the violator remedy the situation? Can the harmed party terminate? If so, how? Does it apply to only future conduct? What happens if information comes out about the violator's past conduct? And who decides if a violation occurs? I've written influencer contracts. This is a picture of my influencer agreement template, the annotated version. I'm going to show you the morals clause that I've written for influencer contracts and explain a little bit about why I've done it that way. And by the way, the reason why you're looking at an annotated version, this is something I created as part of a digital product that I made with a marketing friend that includes a how-to guide for influencers for pitching brands, negotiating the terms, and then getting those terms into a contract that actually says what it needs to say in order to protect them. Along with that, there includes a influencer agreement template, and that's what I drafted. And then along with that influencer agreement template, there is this annotated version, which goes through the contract and has various commentary from myself explaining how to use it. But I want to talk about just one clause in this contract that I wrote, the morals clause. So in this case, creator shall conduct itself at all times with due regard to public morals and conventions. If at any time during the term of this agreement, creator conducts itself in a manner offensive to decency, morality, or social propriety, resulting in public scandal or ridicule, or that reflects unfavorably on company or its employees, company shall have the right in its reasonable good faith discretion to immediately terminate this agreement. If creator publicly disparages company or its brand, company shall also have the right to immediately terminate this agreement. Okay, let's break that down a little bit. Number one, creator is required, the influencer is required to conduct itself a certain way. Very similar to the other morals clause we looked at earlier. Also, if they violate this, then the company, the brand, has the right to terminate. Now, who decides if they violated it? In this case, it is company, but also limited to their reasonable good faith discretion. So it can't just be because they willy-nilly decide. There's also two ways that this violation is defined. Number one, that it results in public scandal or ridicule, or number two, that it reflects unfavorably on company. So this protects the company in this case. I love a fair contract, so I've made this mutual in my template so that company, as well as its employees and agents, are also required to conduct themselves with due regard to public morals and conventions. So this essentially puts forth the same terms, and it allows the creator, the influencer, to protect their own reputation against working with a brand or company that ends up itself damaging its reputations. Balenciaga, for example. The morals clause is here to protect both parties in the event that one causes serious public controversy or disrepute. To protect your reputation, you want to make sure you have an out as well. And that's all I'm going to say on morals clauses. I don't want to bombard you with information, but hopefully these examples gave you a taste of what a morals clause is, how it might come into place, whether it's the creator or an influencer causing the issue or a brand or company causing the issue, and just introduce you to the topic. So if you have any questions about morals clauses or anything else related to influencer contracts and other legal issues in the creator economy, please leave a comment below or reach out to me on socials. These topics are so fun and interesting for me to cover, and that's what I'll be doing here in the Creator Cafe. If you enjoyed this, give it a like or a follow and join me next time. Now, go create something. Bye. Cheers. That's it. How did it go? We did it. We did it. We did it. Yeah. Yeah, we did it. A beverage goblin. Don't like that. Okay.